Okay. We know an interesting function that we have here, and it is the AutoSum function. It is so important that it is highlighted in the tool ribbon in the Start tab, since we will often come across data tables and in accounting issues or when balancing any kind of accounts, it will be a function that we will use very often. In this case, for example, I have a table with certain individuals for whom I have a certain interim grades. Where we want to calculate the average of the final grade, here I could put an expression equals this plus this plus this. I close between brackets and I divide by 3. But anyway, maybe it is much easier for me to simply enter the function AutoSum, which will give us the sum of these 3 values here, and the only thing I have to do is, at the end, divide by the number of grades, in this case 3, to obtain the average. I do this and I get the average 5, 96, etc. I would put the format that I wanted and would have this problem solved. In the end, we are going to put fewer decimal places. And simply by copying down, we solve the problem. Here what I want to see is to explore a little bit what the function AutoSum is about. We see what it puts when I click simply the button I have in the toolbar, and I see that it will enter a function, a sum function, that will always begin, the contents of the cell will be equals sign. And then will come a reserved word, a word that it has reserved for the sum function or AutoSum function, which is the word sum. They are translated into Spanish in the English or other language version. Logically it will be the corresponding word. But anyway, here it is important to see that is a reserved word, and that it then behaves in a particular way. In this case upon clicking the AutoSum button, Excel thinks I want to add, logically, the 3 values immediately to the left, since the 4th isn't a numeric value, but a word. Here we have to be careful. If, for example, we had a year which is a numeric value, but which has nothing to do with the grades. In this case we have to be careful that here, Excel treats the data correctly, and simply by clicking enter we have the sum. Well, it is interesting to see that the sum function can be applied to virtually any numerical data set that I have in our spreadsheet. That is, that if here I put a sum function, Excel at first thinks that I want to add all of the cells I have to the left until the first cell, which has a different format, an alphanumeric format. But this is definable. I can add here any range that I specify. Note that equals sum between brackets, the range that we want to obtain. Even as we now know how to work with unconnected sets, we could have, for example, a table of numbers here and another, unrelated one here, and we would be able to calculate the AutoSum function anywhere. It does not know what, well, this range, and then, clicking the Control key, we would be able to see this other range. In any of the cases we see that is able to very easily add any set or any range or any set of ranges that I introduce, or that it might have in our or in my spreadsheet or the spreadsheets I have on my computer. In this one, it could accumulate a large number of unconnected ranges, meaning that it is a very powerful function, and it is simply the first of the functions that we can see in Excel.